One of the common challenges that I see people have with life is they assume at a certain juncture in their spiritual journey, they're going to start feeling different. So they look for the feeling to change. What's happening is they're chasing a feeling, they're chasing a state. They are looking for something to happen. They are putting the effort coins in and then attempting to land on an outcome. If you've landed on this particular message, you're ready to be more energy effective in your life, not living to fix yourself, but living to live. After all, on some level, that's what this reality is all about. Most of the efforts that we appear to make in reality are really just our best guesses at shortcuts or pathways to actually get on with the life that we most want to experience in the way we want to experience it. But one of the places that people often get a little mixed up is where they have beliefs about how reality is supposed to work, about how their efforts are supposed to pan out, about what they have to do in order to get what they want. We're going to clear all that up today and provide you with some perspectives that'll make it that much more easier flowing from here. I'm Danielle Lynn, by the way. You are, as I imagine, a very rad cat, someone who is choosing to authentically navigate this reality. I imagine that to be so because that's who I imagine I talk to. And I find that what we consistently imagine and focus on, this tends to be what is so. So this is a time of rebirths. This is a time of energy stepping forward in new ways. This is a phoenix rising time. This is a catalytic time, both in your life and in the collective field. You're aware of this. I imagine I'm speaking to somebody who has deliberately transmuted a good deal of your ancestral pain, your past pain. You are embodying the work of disentangling from us versus them polarity energy, but not from a place of giving up your core values or trying to change another, but from a truly empowered place. And once again, this sends echoes and ripples through the entire collective. It is, when some people ask me, like, what is the way to deal with all the divisiveness of this time? This is one of the ways. Bit by bit, moment by moment, start within the space of your own life. Start within yourself. What I'm describing could be an aspect of yourself that's rejected, and you may be invited, instead of continuing to reject or suppress it, find where that point of genuine acceptance is. Some people mistake what genuine acceptance is. They think it's tolerating, but genuine acceptance has a certain neutrality to it. It has a certain spaciousness of understanding a thing is the way it is, and that it's not up to you to try and modulate, change, or do anything else with it. And in this energetic shift, what happens is you release an enormous amount of pent-up energy that had once been held in resistance. People don't realize how much of our energy is held in thought forms, in resistance, in ideas, even latently. But then the moment that you reclaim that, suddenly the energy is dispersed and is able to be recentered within you. Suddenly you have more room to be as you are and navigate this reality as you are. And that's potent. So one of the big messages here is to cease projecting the past onto the now. The only way the past truly affects us is through the way that we interface with our idea of it in the present moment. Even if there's something you're experiencing that you could point to in the past, like let's say you had some kind of health thing, let's say you had some kind of challenge that you attributed to an experience in the past, the way you relate to whatever is right now is simply your present moment experience. When we keep lamenting, oh, this happened in the past, or I wish this was fixed, or I wish that was like this or that, what we're doing is we're actually removing our power from the present moment, and we're not giving ourselves an opportunity to actually work with the materia and the material that is at hand. One of the ways that we keep ourselves in energetic loops in our lives is through believing that the mind can solve everything, and then continuously feeding energy into the mind to the point that it loops. And most of the time, it's presenting ideas and possibilities and probabilities, but very rarely can it actually address anything other than to provide context that can be acted on in the present moment. Everything else that is either lamenting of the past or worry about the future is simply energy that is burnt in a circuit. Any reconciling you can do in the past happens in a much more time-effective way than you might imagine. Any planning for the future, the same. You plan for the future in the now. And then once the plans are in place, you stop living in the future and you start to operate in the present. When people ask me, well, how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I be okay? What if I don't know what will happen? And I say, no one really knows what will happen. The only thing we can possibly know is here and now. Everything else is our best guesstimate. Everything else is simply a idea or projection, maybe a very accurate one based on probability, which is how a lot of divination can occur if you're considering the next now moment. But even that has the potential to suddenly, psh, oh, you thought it was going to there, you thought it was going there, tower, psh, lightning bolt, right? Which is why we don't ever truly know what will be, aside from giving ourselves full permission to embody what is. And this is where the paradox is. Through deeply embodying what is, it starts not to matter what will be, because your presence and power fully occupies the space of the present moment. You start to be aware of all the dordles that are open for you, that are available to you. And you realize that you're never truly stuck. You're never truly lost. And if you're even in a place of unknowing, even that is not truly being stuck, because it's part of the cycle. Part of the entire cycle and rhythm of this reality is moments of clarity, moments of unknowing, and then the ebb and flow between these different states. Springtime, summer, autumn, winter, springtime, summer, autumn, winter, okay? And we have these seasons in our lives as well. And when things like winter comes, it's far more energy effective to allow a cycle of rest than it is to try and push against the winter and attempt to force growth. Because in allowing a cycle of rest and allowing a cycle of deliberate alignment, you gather your energy for a more resonant emerging in the springtime. Okay, this is what I imagine you're remembering. So if there's anything you're not enjoying in your path right now, part of the invitation is to take a look at the quality of the present step you're living. At one point in my journey, I was like, what do I want to do? I just want to live as a wizardess. I started inquiring within, well, how does a wizardess live? What are the qualities of one who is simply being a wizard? And then I started to live this way, first in simple steps, okay? Simple steps, day by day. And I didn't see any need to question or assess whether or not I was being this. There was no need to see the external proof before I understood that that is what I am living. Everything else is details. What I'm describing to you is embodiment and coherent embodiment. Where a lot of people in manifestation get a little caught up really boils down to lack of coherence between your thoughts, your energetic state, your physical state, your belief systems in life. With coherence, the understanding is how you live one thing in your life is how you live all things in your life. If you start to establish boundaries around personal respect in your work, but then you're still letting your family trample all over you, you are not living with coherence across those values. And one of the reasons why many beings appear to have challenge with stepping into coherence is that for many, there is a subconscious or a deeper recognition that in making an all in choice for coherence, for living within your values and establishing those boundaries, that it may shake up most or all of your life. When I began to live in deep coherence with who I understood myself to be at a core level, it shifted my relationship, the business that I had, the place that I was living, and everything in my life dramatically shifted. Now, I'm not saying it must be that way. I'm not saying that the idea is to change things or break up or change your job, because that doesn't have anything to do with coherence. What I'm describing is that through being coherent, you suddenly discover what you're genuinely intolerant to. It's like if your nose was stuffed up all this time and you were eating something and then you clear your nose and suddenly you can smell what you're eating. You're like, oh, I don't want another bite of that. And you smell the place and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. And you feel that viscerally. And so it's not that you have to convince yourself to change at that point. You're practically running out of the space. The change at that point is inevitable because you simply recognize something that is not compatible with you. But in order to embody that level of coherence, there is a certain level of willingness to be completely authentic with yourself that comes with it. So let's share a practical step. One of the things that you can participate in, if this sounds alive for you, you can get yourself a piece of paper, pen or pencil. Every single day, you clear your space, you take a few breaths in, you simply sit in silence every day. It could be a couple minutes, doesn't have to be long. If your mind runs, don't worry about it. You're not here to try and control your thoughts. Then write. Write down what you want, or more importantly, what matters to you. And do this every day. Do this every day for at least a week. And in the beginning, you might think well, money matters, family matters, this matters. Here's the thing. Write every single day. And when you do, really, really focus on what you imagine you want, how it feels, how you imagine it feels to have it. Doing it every single day brings it into your tangible reality, even if it's just on paper. And here's what's going to happen. By the end of that week, there's going to be certain things that you've written again or again, or certain ways that it's morphed, where you're suddenly going to be like, oh, that's what I've been really wanting. All these other things have sort of been circling around this thing, or at the very least, you're going to get that much closer to it. And then here's what gets to happen. Because you are aware of what you genuinely want, you can now be aware of the places that you are either all in with that, or the places that you haven't made the all in choice. And one way or another, you're either giving yourself the opportunity to make the all in choice, or you're giving yourself the opportunity to stop beating yourself up because you realize you haven't actually made the all in choice. So, of course, you're not living that right now. This is the clarity. This is the clarity when it comes to calling in what you want. If you want peace, but you keep saying yes to situations, people, and experiences that are driving that peace away, that are using your time and energy, if you want resources, but there is a part of you that feels terrified to receive, if you are ready to feel peaceful within yourself, but you keep entertaining the thoughts that come forward, and to be clear, it's not about trying to force your thoughts to stop, but you have the option to not place emphasis or focus on the thoughts that are coming through. You have the option to observe thoughts and then place your focus on what matters to you. And this is one of the ways you shift it. And you don't do it once. It's about living it every moment of every day. It's not about efforting or fixing. It's about being so committed to the version of life in which you are just ready for the peace, for the resource, for the connection, for whatever it is, that you say no to everything else, even if the other things once upon a time were joyful to you. And as a result, things may and likely will shift. But as you continue to embody this, you start realizing there's a lot less effort you must make in order for life to start showing you a different image. But it took you being willing to say the authentic yes and no, to be willing to see it, to be willing to look beyond the stories about why you could or couldn't do it and start living it. My friend, I have every knowing that you have this not only capacity within you, but you are already, more and more so each day, living these steps. If you are feeling inspired to step more deeply and further into this, I have a portal I'm opening. You can check my description link for opportunity on this portal. I only open these up certain times per the year, and once they have filled up, then I close them. So if it's something that is calling to you, I invite you to check it out more in the now than the later now. In all cases, my friend, I deeply appreciate us having this opportunity to connect together, and I look forward to our next connection.